Welcome to On the Bench. I am your host for this episode, Brendan Sonnone. I'm having to join a a little more oomph than usual. That's what I'm trying to cultivate here. It's not a great start to this, guys. I see Trey judging me. Trey, don't judge.
No, man, you're doing great, dude. Keep it going.
I think to start the pod. I mean, what the heck?
That's the voice of Trey Rowland and Coach AB. We also have Kev Little with us. So we have the X's and O's fellas, along with Chris Nee. It's part OTB, part X's and O's. Zach Blosting was going to join us, but he sliced his finger open in the kitchen. So, yeah, it's a toughie. It'd be like that sometimes. And together we're going to go over a smattering of soup du jour for Florida State entering spring practice. We'll see how excited you guys are to really go ahead and embark on this next month and see what data points we're going to be looking for. We'll play some games, have a little bit of fun as well. We always like to do these roundtables as a bit of a check-in. And this is going to be part roundtable and part potluck roundtable where everyone's going to bring their own dish to the proverbial table here. And we're going to talk about different things. But for the first 15, 20 minutes or so, I'm going to ask weird questions for you guys and get my brethren's opinions on the state of the program. Real quick, Trey, I'll let you do the ad read because you're freaking amazing at it.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, what an introduction. Guys, what are you going to do if you're in your kitchen, you slice open your delicate finger trying to make a matzo ball soup of some sort? What is the one whiskey that you want to use to pour over that wound to make it disinfected? Not Chattanooga whiskey, because that's for drinking. Use a crappier whiskey. But if you're going to drink after you cut your finger, that's Chattanooga whiskey. Guys, they are crushing it in the craft distillery game. Trademark register, copyright, trademark, Brendan Sonnone. It's the best. They're experimental. They use all sort of different casts. They really care about the product. They love the whiskey. Unlike the McDonald's CEO, they love their own product. They use it all the time. They will do the experimental cast, but guys, they're not just a bunch of out there crazy whiskey hippies. No, when they need to get you covered with the good stuff, that 111 proof, that really good standard whiskey for being a Florida State fan and trying to make it through the mundane travesty that is your sports fandom, Chattanooga whiskey is how you're going to get through. So if you're feeling funky, they got the experimental cast. If you just want the good, the best craft whiskey on the market, they got you covered there too. Chattanooga whiskey. Tell them the boys at 247 sent you. And then what do I always say? Braden's always trying to crib my line, but this is my original. What do I always say? When you're done with your Chattanooga whiskey, got a little bit of a buzz on, sell your house. Jump into the real estate market, you wuss. Buy, sell, rent, whatever. And that's with the Turner Group. They're in Central Florida. But as Brendan said last week, their tendrils are much wider. They emanate from Central Florida, and they go anywhere because they have the reach, they have the expertise of a large outfit, but they give you that care, that attentiveness of like a niche boutique firm. Colin and Amy Turner. I've seen the game. I've been in the game. They're the best in the game. You want to sell your house. You want to buy a house. You need to go to the Turner Group. And we don't just say their name multiple times throughout the program because they sponsor us. When we tell you brought to you, sponsored by the Turner Group, we say it because we believe it. And when you go to the Turner Group, blast it off Chattanooga whiskey, you tell them the 247 boys sent you there too. Brendan, back to you.
The cool thing about Colin Turner, he's not going to take advantage of you when you reach out to him.
That's wonderful. An honorable man. Like I said, the best in the business.
Sorry, Colin. All right, so let's play a little Myers Sonnone, sponsored by
the Turner Group.
Let's get going. So I think one of my favorite aspects, other than the chemistry that you three have cultivated over the years and the varying personalities that you all bring to the table, along with immense wealth of knowledge, is that your all origins as fans, you're Florida State fans. And I think that's not something that we should lose sight of sometimes as we do a check-in on the program that you love. And, before spring practice here, like the roster's more or less set. There's not a whole lot more additions, impactful additions that are going to be coming in. So this is kind of the cursory glance at the 2026 team. I want to get your guys' thoughts on just, do you feel connected to the program right now? That's the Myers Sonnone. And I'll preface it I'll go around the horn here, but I'll preface it with there's no spring game this year. practice access and thus the videos and the practice reports. And whether you find value in that or not, it's the most reduced that it's ever been under Mike Norvell. We get 2 practices, about 30 minutes total of time to see it this spring. Last year we got a whole scrimmage. And then finally, there's no booster tour as well for those who would go to the booster tours and interact with different coaches and all that stuff. So as we go into this, I'll start with you, AB. Bye or Sonnone, do you feel disconnected from the program right now?
Yes, completely.
Bye. Play it right.
Bye. Yes. Apologies. I think this might be my first go round on Bye or Sonnone, but
What? That's
yeah, I think
crazy.
it might actually be.
Yeah.
It's
You
crazy.
can tell.
Oh, I know. Amateur hour. Yeah, no, it's a complete buy. And I think I said that in kind of our group chat the other day. Like, what motivation is there for a fan to be connected to this football team right now? They've been bad for 2 straight years. They've done nothing but pull back on access over the last 2 years. There's been no real emphasis on trying to create any kind of connection between the program itself and the fan base. So yeah, I don't know how you can, and then on top of it, the whole love letter of we've got to have Mike Norvell back, last year. The apathy continued to just kind of be really driven home right now by the stakeholders within this program.
What about you, Kev? You got boots on the ground. You are a professor, an esteemed professor at Florida State. You have as much invested in Florida State doing well as anyone.
Yeah, that's true. It's they pay me. So I probably have to be careful what I say, but no.
No one's listening. It's fine.
Ship has sailed, dog.
Yeah, I was about to say. No, I Florida State, it felt like, okay, you had 2023, you had the high of 2023. They lose the Orange Bowl in just embarrassing fashion. You say, okay, this staff knows what they're doing. They built out of the transfer portal before. They'll just rebuild. It might take a year or two, but this is kind of a rebuilding year. We're looking at 8, 9, 10 wins, and then they'll be back, right? You kind of gained trust in this staff that improved Florida State year over year. 2024 was just an unmitigated disaster, one of the worst teams in the country. 2025, you think, all right, well, maybe they learned from their mistakes. There's reasons to be excited. They pull in someone like Deuce Robinson. It looks like they completely overhaul the offensive line room. They bring in fresh coordinators that both had success in other places. You have a quarterback that comes in with a lot of energy, a lot of confidence. You go out and you blow out an Alabama team that's a top 10 Alabama team, and you're thinking, all right, let's have some optimism. I can kind of push away some of the other things that have happened because it looks like maybe they've regained a little bit of it. And then we know what happens in the last half of last season. And this year there's nothing to look forward to. This year they've lost all reason for optimism. This year you can't look to 2 years ago because 3 years ago, because the last 2 years have been unmitigated disasters. You're going back to an old play caller that was the guy calling plays when you had the worst offense in Florida State history, arguably. Your defensive coordinator looks like he didn't really have any answers last year, and it didn't look like they brought any answers to the transfer portal. So just even without all of the media stuff, the spring game and all that stuff, there's very little to feel excited about. There's very little that it feels like they're excited about. There's nothing you're hanging your hat on and saying, who's going to be the player? Who's going to be the guy? What's going to be the identity of this 2026 team that sets it apart? Well, nothing, right? So why would I be excited about that?
I actually have, we can get into it later, a decent level of optimism relative, I think, to the general expectations and more optimism than I had at any point last offseason. But still, but I also thought it was like a 5 to 6 win team last season. What it was.
You nailed it.
Although I was sweating bullets for the first month in terms of like, oh, I'm just going to be way off again 2 years in a row. And they ended up being kind of what we thought they were going to be. But anyways, Trey, clean sweep on the buy or Sonnone. Is this a buy for you as well? Or are you going to zig a little bit?
No, massive buy. There's a lack of interest, and to be honest with you, with all the stuff that you mentioned, that laundry list of things that they're not doing, it seems like it's almost by design. They almost want you to forget that Florida State has an actual football team with a program that's led by a very haggard, embattled, like looking head coach until the first game of the season. Of course, they're going to try to get your season ticket money, in the off season, while they're also not really promoting any goodwill or promoting the brand whatsoever, which is an interesting take to me. And it seems like it's by design. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go as far as to say that the actual administration or the organization is embarrassed themselves of the product and just kind of wants to forget about it until the season starts, since they have to play the games. But to be honest with you, with a spring game, for instance, what a softball. You spent hundreds of millions of dollars renovating that stadium for revenue generating opportunities. Now, it's not like a banana ball extravaganza or whatever, but a spring game is a revenue generating opportunity, and you're not using it because of some excuse that I'm still trying to parse out that made no sense to me when it came out of Mike Norvell's mouth. But that is a softball to get your fan base engaged with the players on the team, to deal a free one out to the community, the local community that will get extra revenue. It's such an easy goodwill thing that because they got away with not doing it last year and other people aren't doing it, like, okay, let's push this through. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't really know anything about the players, and that is something to where it's almost something I wish that they would have learned from like 2022, like the early Mike Norvell tenure. And it's a reason why that 2023 team was so beloved, is because the fan base was engaged and they knew who the players were. They knew about Jared Verse. They knew about Kalen DeLoach, Jordan Travis, dude, Jerry Jones. That's one of my favorite, stories of a guy who came in, embattled, didn't have a really good fan perspective, but the more that access that Mike had, that we got to know, like a guy like Jerry Jones, he became like a beloved figure in the Florida State football program. And I feel like if you went down the roster of all of the people and you asked like Florida State fan on the street, or even like the Knowles 24/7 subscribers, hey, what do you think about this guy? Like, who is this person? Like, if we would have said it in 2023, even a guy who just showed up on the team like Keon Coleman, be like, oh, the funny dude who just like crushes McDonald's all the time. Like that guy's funny. It doesn't make sense, but when you add it all up in aggregate, those are goodwill things that you are either not taking advantage of or now are taking away. So to me, it just seems like it doesn't project confidence in the head guy, the program, the direction of the program. And you put a bunch of money into the program because you're confident in the direction. But to me, it's just like, hey, guys, we know we put the money in the stadium. Let's just get through this together, and we'll see you in August. And it's just not a way. It's not a way to run a program in a healthy manner that generates interest. So if anybody is interested in this season, it's because they're going against what the actual program is putting in front of them. Like, this all kind of feels by design, in my opinion.
To Trey's point of lack of player familiarity, FSU will open camp with 98 players on the roster. That means 98 currently enrolled. That number will push above 105 once summer enrollees get here. Of that 98, 50 are newcomers, 24 true freshmen, 3 JUCO transfers, 23 NCAA transfers.
And I think that's pretty normal, but to Trey's point, that means you have to be putting extra effort for investment to be there. And let's be real, people give money to the program when they feel like they know the players, they know the program, they know the coaches, they trust the direction of the program, because they, like, at the end of the day, people are people and people support people. And if you're not taking the effort to give us a chance to watch these guys in the spring and to get excited to see, Ashton Daniels throw a couple of touchdowns. People still talking about Kevin Sperry throwing touchdowns against Kent State, and they're excited about that possibility. So let them see Ashton Daniels throw a touchdown in a spring game against nobody, and like maybe someone's going to join the boosters and give a little bit of money to the program.
You're so right, man. It's a chance for them. Think about how many times during the Mike Norvell tenure where they have been swallowed up by the narrative that they can't control so negatively, and their they have no PR awareness. the spring game is the easiest, most self-contained piece of positive PR that can get you from like April to August. We can be watching highlights. You'd have guys like Kev, Adam, and myself breaking down positive highlights, getting ourselves juiced up for this upcoming season, talking ourselves into, well, man, I mean, you saw Alabama last year. If they could have kept that momentum, it's very easy because we all love the program to do it. And they won't even put forth the less than minimal effort to begin the sales job of trying to sell you into next season. That's how low effort is being put into trying to show that this is an exciting product. They won't even try to sell you the lemon right now on the lot, dude. Like there are cars. Florida State's a car salesman with a high sense of integrity right now. They won't even begin the process of trying to sell you on this team. And it makes me think that they don't believe in it. It's crazy. And that's your entire job. Get the butts in the newly beautiful renovated stadium. Generate the revenue that's going to pay for all that debt. And they don't want to do it. They don't want to take PR wins. I don't know. It's head scratching to me. And I'm glad to have you guys here to talk it through because I'm not a fan. So bye.
I do think if you looked at it all in a vacuum, I don't think that there's a single decision that they're doing that like is illogical. I can separate emotionally. Like I don't like not being able to be at practice and see what's happening and share that with you guys. I would love to have a spring game because I know a lot of people find it boring. I've always enjoyed it. I don't mind a spring game at all. I find there to be value even in the minutia for it. The booster tours, I go to multiple every single year. So all those things, like I find value in my profession with all of them, and not being able to do those is disappointing. At the same like token, and I understand what you guys are saying about the there's a feeling of alienation, and I see that in our message board. I've seen that in my Twitter comments with all these little news items that we put out there about them scaling back their public relations machine. What good PR though, like are you really going to garner if you're not super confident in the total product? And so that's, I think you kind of alluded to this, Trey. Like I think they're kind of telling on themselves a little bit, in that the optimism that they have is at the very most cautious, and that there's probably more bad PR that can come from a rowdy fan who has a few too many drinks at a booster tour, or a bad performance during a spring game and it just looks kind of bleak and there's only 5,000 people show up or something like that. I think, and we've also gotten pretty clear like feedback that they don't want videos and repeated updates at practice talking about who's doing well and who's not. And I think part of it's because of a fragile psyche. But those are all things that
I know that's such a cop out, because if you read your reports, you guys always said nobody was ever doing bad. Everybody was doing good. You guys did a very careful job of presenting the positive aspects of that stuff. So I get it. If you take each one of those moves in isolation, right, it does make sense. But I tell you what, it makes a hell of a lot more sense for a program that's actually functioning properly and functioning from a position of power to make those. This should be a program that is desperate to get the Florida State fan back because of what they've made them endure for the past 2 years. And they're not. So they either think that the demand for the product is inelastic, you're going to show up no matter what, or they're so like, has there ever been a disastrous spring game? Name one spring game that's ever resulted in net negative PR.
Other than an injury, I mean,
no, like but like, come on, dude. Like, even if
Andrew did get hurt.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, there's injuries, but people get injured in practice all the time, dude. Like when the third string receiver is Moss and the backup DB or the walk-on DB, people can just start to have delusions of grandeur about the receiver. There's very ever an instance that I could think of, barring injury, which could happen at these spring practices anyway, where it was like, oh my God, you see that spring game? -3 wins for that team. No, it's just, I don't understand, because like you said, Brendan, singularly, I kind of get, like if I took decision A and looked at decision A, B, C, and D independently, But from where Florida State actually is, it doesn't make sense. Like, just because it doesn't make sense to have a drunk guy like yelling at Mike Norvell, like, you should quit, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get that. Like, that may be a little bit too much exposure. They also shouldn't do a spring game. Like, some of these things shouldn't be mutually exclusive, in my opinion.
Yeah, the booster tour stuff I get. Like,
Me
I don't
too.
think there's a lot of value in sending Mike Norvell up in front of a group of people and having him speak, because the potential exists for him to get asked some hard questions. I've never been to one personally, but
And they probably
there's a
lose
few.
money too on those for what it's worth. Generally,
I imagine they're kind of a waste of time generally. The spring game is the one that kind of befuddles me, because even if you get 10,000 people there, it's still 10,000 people, and it's an opportunity to put on a product for your fan base of which you control. And Mike's, his reasoning was, oh, we want to maximize our 15 practices. Well, you control that practice. I mean, you can do whatever the hell you want on that day in that stadium. So you're in control of that product. It doesn't have to be a waste of time. I mean, you can get some functional things out of it. And his spring games have been more practice than game themselves over the last few times that they've had them. I just think there is a benefit right now to trying to get people into that stadium and reconnecting the football program itself with the fan base, because there has been a major alienation over the last year and a half or so. I don't get, those people are going to travel. It's not easy to get to Tallahassee. People are going to travel. They're not going to come in there to be negative and go crazy. Like, they're going to come in there to have the camaraderie of the stadium, to do the whole tailgating thing and have fun. Like, it's not like you're getting all the students out there that are going to get rowdy and the wild, the wild guy that's got a hair up his ass that wants to, scream at Mike Norvell. Those people aren't going to show up for this. This is a spring game where they want to come. People want to come. It's very light. They want to have fun. They want to enjoy each other. They want to enjoy being in that stadium with all their Seminole friends and family. Like, I feel like it's a missed opportunity. And it was an easy, okay, well, we didn't do it last year, so we're just, everybody else isn't doing it. They need to start thinking outside the PR box a little bit. They need to zig while everybody else is zagging right now, because the ship is very much sinking like the Titanic. They need to try to get the sucker back on top.
You could also Titanic reference in year 2026 of our Lord.
You could also kind of argue that since 2023, they've been in the process of ratcheting things back, right? 2024 was the first year we didn't have a spring game. 2025 is when they start barring media from practices. And I would argue over the last 2 seasons, while talent definitely hasn't been plus, and talent is the reason that you're not winning ACC championships and going to the playoff, talent is not the reason that you won 2 games 2 years ago. Talent is not the reason that you didn't win a ACC road game last year. The reason is because you have a team that's taking after their coach, who's fragile mentally. And these things are kind of both a product of the fragility of this coaching staff, who doesn't have trust in their own ability to evaluate their product. And it's both a microcosm of that. And I think you could argue that it's sending a message to their players that they're ashamed of the players themselves. I think there's a non-zero chance that this is actually leading to increased fragility, decreased ability of these players to handle adversity and think about adversity, because you're taking away opportunities for them to see those things. You're taking away opportunities for them to play in front of live crowds. You're allowing your head coach's lack of confidence to start to spread out throughout the rest of the program. And I think that's visible. I would argue that seems like it's been visible to the players for the past 2 years who've taken on that character themselves.
I'm enjoying that you guys are taking small topics and making it extensive looks into the program and because I do it all the time, and that's usually frowned upon here. Chris, what are your thoughts on all of this?
because if we do 6 questions, it's going to take 3 hours. So I'm
going to move us along a little bit, but this was, I think, a good big topic to jump into.
None of it has surprised me, I guess is the simplest way I can put it. I didn't expect to get back out to practice. That's not a surprise to me at all. I did not expect there to be a spring game. I had the schedule before the schedule was released. You know, I'm smart enough to realize that the last date doesn't fall on a weekend, which means no spring game. And that it wasn't the one practice after a spring game that he's done after the showcase pass. In the booster tour, that's actually an area where I think that is being scaled back more nationally in general anyways. And obviously FSU currently, I don't think has the juice on the trail to go do something like that at a high level. They'll still do some probably private small booster events. I don't know if they'll do them in the spring, but they'll do them at different times to try to generate certain things. That's something they've done in the past. So yeah, I just wasn't surprised by much of any of it. But I do feel like there is, I don't know if anger is the right word, but I feel like there's a lot of fans who have been longtime fans who just feel like they don't have a whole lot of reasons to be committed to the program right now. They're finding different reasons. A lot of people in my age group that I've known for decades, some of whom I went to Florida State with, some of whom, you know, I knew before Florida State and since Florida State. They just, you know, and talking to them, running into them at different things. It's like, you know, me and my wife decided to use that money on something different this year. Stories like that. And you're always fighting for the almighty dollar. And I don't think the stadium's going to be empty on Labor Day when they're playing SMU. But like at the same time, you build equity over time with things you do. And I think getting away from doing some of those things, i.e. a spring showcase / game, is probably not the best order of business.
Okay, next topic here. Move through this one a little quicker. Buyer Sonnone, sponsored by
the Turner Group.
We can write something this spring that would pique your curiosity. Trey?
Like you or Chris could write something that would pique my
We
curiosity?
could report on something, write on something from the spring.
Bye.
Okay.
I think so.
What's something that you'd like, if you could envision, that would get the blood flowing a little bit?
Oh, it would have to me. It would have to be somebody coming out of nowhere on the defensive side of the ball, particularly the defensive line, because I am so down on that entire side of the ball. Where if one of these freshman kids hit, and it would have to be in pads, and it would have to be something where a guy came out of nowhere to plug a hole that I was not expected to be filled. But if that guy, I would get excited. You take it wherever you want to take it. You take it wherever you want to. I'm just using that.
Cam Brooks for tour of duty, and then boom, there goes the Achilles. So
I wasn't trying to.
But what it's worth,
presented to.
We had a luncheon with the coaches before we are surrounding the Norvell press conference the other day. Cam Brooks' name was brought up regularly to me by multiple people on that side. Ball, it's like the guy that jumped out at in tour of duty, so they were massively disappointed that happened.
That was a toughie. But like Trey, to your point, if you're saying, "Oh, this defense," if I come and say Jamin Pickney, that's my dude. If Jamin Pickney comes out there and is just killing people off the edge with a quick step, you're gonna be like, well, "What's wrong with the offensive tackles?" Like I think
not necessarily. I mean,
I think the tackles are a little bit more known.
Yeah,
like all these offensive linemen,
and that's where I'm not going to go back to the first question. It's not that hard to get Florida State fanatics back into it, right? Like that little article that you mentioned, I probably could say, maybe our tackles are ass, but probably not, because I want to be back into it, because I love this. So just get me back. I'm telling you, man.
Man wants something good to nibble on.
Bad, dude. I'm hungry. Brendan. I'm hungry for good.
All right. Buyer Sonnone, sponsored by
the Turner Group. I love doing this. Turner
John
Group.
Garrett said the quiet part out loud.
Oh shit!
Dude,
Bye.
Honestly, I appreciate the hell out of it. If we're being perfectly honest, I appreciate that the person that is a major piece of that puzzle just matter-of-factly stated it.
All right.
Real quick, can I read what he said?
Yes, reference the statement.
And then I got a buyer Sonnone for you guys.
Okay. AB, once I finish reading this, I'll let you, because you had a pretty visceral reaction to the quote. So I'll let you cook after this. So I had asked him about the evaluation process with Ashton Daniels, because they had multiple quarterbacks on campus. So like what broke through there? And part of the quote is, initially, big picture, you have to decide, okay, am I going to be in the market for those guys who are really expensive? We decided no. we don't need to do that, but we need to bring in a good quality quarterback of value. His career lends to that, and then explains some of the experience and whatnot. And they felt really good about it. And so then Matt Baker, who has really good follow-up game, asks, can you talk about like the process of sifting through whether it was worthwhile or not to invest heavily in a quarterback? And he said, Garrett said, you got to look at everything. It's the whole roster that you have to put together. The allocation that was already in existence on the team predicated that we have a lot invested in this team and that it wouldn't be wise to go beyond that.
Oh my God.
I just buy Sonnone for Chris and Brendan only. Is that like a top 5 quote? And maybe not in the Mike Norvell era, but it doesn't have to necessarily just be by Mike Norvell, like coming out of this program.
It is a buy for a brutally honest quote. Yeah, that's one of the most honest quotes, transparent, clean cut ones. Yeah.
I'll preface this with the fact that I think John Garrett's really smart, and I honestly think I think he thinks about things a great deal. Like I don't think he said that on a whim by any stretch of the imagination. I appreciated it incredibly. But yeah, it's way up there. So I'm going to buy to your buyers and own their AB.
I mean, we've all been talking about it all offseason, right? I mean, whether necessary, maybe not as like clear cut as what he just put it, but we've discussed it. I mean, when you looked at the board for the quarterback transfer portal, meaning it was like, okay, this guy, oh, nope, maybe not. Oh, this guy, oh, nope, maybe not. And then all of a sudden you've got 3 quarterbacks on campus, and the worst of them all is the one that you ended up with. Or maybe I shouldn't say the cheapest of them all is the one you ended up with.
He does have probably has the worst passing numbers in his, with the career point. Yeah. So that's,
I mean, there was, you could look at DJ, you could look at Tommy, and you could at some point justify that there were moments where they looked elite in their career, right? Sometimes you have to go back to DJ's freshman year when he won, like he went to Notre Dame and did all that stuff, right? And then
DJ was really solid at Oregon State.
He was, and then Tommy had flashes at Boston College his freshman year.
Or sophomore, it was his first year
where people were talking about him being a really sought after quarterback for a minute there. There were times with both of those guys when you're like, all right, they were seen as top 10 potential quarterbacks, at least in terms of where they could be one day. That's never been Ashton Daniels. Not saying that he's worse than those guys, but I'm saying that I don't know how you sell this.
To add to the
not by saying this. I can tell you that's not how you sell it. The value.
Anthony Calandria was the first quarterback. DJ Legway, they both were in that same day. From what we understood, the ballpark number for both of them was around 2.5 to 3.5 million. I don't know what they ended up getting. I know FSU wasn't willing to definitely go over 3 million for a quarterback. I think they were unwilling to really go over 2.5 million for a quarterback. If we're being honest here, that's more a Calandria number than a Legway number, from what I know. But yeah, they very quickly reversed course and spent dramatically less money. Now, cost per unit, as someone who likes to shop that way, yeah, like Daniel was pretty cheap on that value, but I also think the returns on it, like you're betting on getting more than that kid's ever produced in his life.
What is a stark departure from what Duke did a year ago at quarterback, and that was
they went and got the sure thing. I don't think any of those 3 guys we just brought up are sure things. Now, I certainly think the other 2 are better than the one they took, with a little bit more proven commodity to them. And Legway, you're betting on what he once was versus what he's really been, I guess, is the best way of viewing that. But the belief that he can get back to that. With Ashton, like, he's been at 2 different institutions, very mixed results at best at the 2 of them. I've never loved the take, but I did appreciate that John Garrett was matter of fact with that, because it's the honest reason they did it. They wanted the money they didn't spend at quarterback to build out the rest of the roster, because they were working with a fixed cap number, essentially.
If they're saving money on quarterback and that's the roster they were able to build outside of him, like, no, I mean,
doesn't give you confidence in the overall number they had, does it?
It doesn't, right? Because you'd expect, okay, well, at least you're going to go get like a surefire pass rusher with that number, with saving
I mean,
money on
they
the quarterback.
they spent well on Ryland Kennedy. There was an acquisition cost there in addition to actually getting him on your roster and paying him.
Which
And,
he's
and
not a
we've talked
surefire.
about the tax that they've had to pay. As well. And so I think that obviously fits into the
Retention.
budget and the roster you're able to assemble. Like it's not I don't think it's a bad roster, but again, the
For Florida State, it's a bad roster.
and that's
It's
Trey, you
100% a
wrote
bad
about that
roster. Yes,
you
it's
wrote
a
about
bad
that a year
roster,
ago
dude. Yeah.
before the season was the risk of, I'm trying to remember how you phrased it. It was like the first column you wrote for us, but it was of expectations being slowly chipped
degraded
away.
over time, and that's the thing. Like you're looking at Florida State's roster in the prism of like a prime Dave Dorn NC State. This is Florida State University. You've won 3 national championships here. You have 3 Heisman winners. Like you are known as like a fringe blue blood, and you've been playing college football like 50 or 60 years less than the other guys that are, and you're pissing it away because you're getting value at the most important position in football. It's Florida State. Get the best player that you can at every single position. Now, the part, and I do appreciate John Garrett's statement. I do think that it's hilarious that there's not even the effort to coach speak like an answer to that question, that like the effort is gone. Like, no, we took a look at all the guys there and we think he was the best option. We really believe in him. That's how simple it is when you're trying to sell people into the stadium, which they're not doing anymore. We've already established. It doesn't have to be that hard. Get the best player at every single position that you can, particularly at the most important position in the entire game of football, if you want to actually show that you care about being a winning football program, which at this point, I don't know that they do. I've said this kind of after the season. Florida State, to me, it feels like a small level MLB team. Like they're just happy with throwing the product on the field and making money every year. It doesn't feel like they want to compete for championships. It doesn't. They feel like the Pittsburgh Pirates, dude. And you're Florida State. You're Florida State University. For once again, there's an expiration date on that actually meaning something, which I'm trying to convey to people, which hopefully this fan apathy is starting to get into. But no, it is a bad roster for Florida State. And that's all I care about, because I'm a Florida State analyst and fan. I don't care if it's the best roster that Bowling Green would have ever fielded in their history. I don't care. It's a crappy Florida State roster.
Well, let's be fair. Also, the tax you're paying is a Mike Norvell tax. And it's because you felt like it was more financially prudent to keep him than to get rid of him. But now you're paying a tax for him being here, and you're still going to probably have to fire him anyways and pay some stupid buyout. So, I don't have sympathy for the tax.
And the second half of John Garrett's statement, which I am actually glad that he didn't say this part, is what really happened was Ashton was the best value of all the quarterbacks that we could even convince to come here
to talk to
that
us.
was the thing. The reason why they didn't want to overpay is because we couldn't convince the guys that we actually really wanted to come here to even give us the time of day. So out of the 4 that we could maybe kind of get to say yes, the other 3 were overpays. So that's the thing. The real second part of that statement is we actually couldn't really find any good quarterbacks that would agree to come to Florida State. Now,
Trey,
if you guys think I'm being a little too strong there, let me know. But
you ever been to Madtown?
Madtown?
The quarterback they really wanted, that's where he landed. For whatever reason, Madtown.
Wisconsin?
Yeah.
For a guy who's on a hotter seat than Mike is, the only other guy in the country who's on a hotter seat than our guy.
Where they decided this is our guy, we're going to go get our guy, and we're going to get it done immediately out of the gate as we can do it. And they did do that.
They did it, and the allocation thing is funny because he's right. Like, you do have a finite number for the but this quarterback decision thing happened so early in the process. Like, come on, dude.
So the thing with me with quarterbacks is beyond wanting the one who's the best, which I firmly believe, and I think I emphatically said on a late season podcast using big word, is like there's also the element with that where like they're the great eraser. They're the one that can make things so much better than they actually are, and if they're bad, they can make it so much worse than it really should be. And that's my thing with the quarterback position. I don't know. It's weird to me. I don't like the John Garrett interview, I actually really enjoyed. I appreciated him explaining things. I appreciated him answering the repetitive question on the Twins and whether, to hold up on that hurt them. And his point was ultimately we kept them, and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to retain them. And he is right. That is what they wanted to do. When they went to that whole 10-day process of that, they wanted to keep them. He talked about why they added Trey Wisner, who I think is one of the best portal takes they certainly had. I enjoyed the interview. I appreciate John. I think John is sharp, intelligent. I think he definitely knows what the hell a football player looks like. Like, there's a lot of good there. But I was sort of taken aback that he just so willingly gave up the answer on Daniels and it being value-based.
I think you guys are kind of skipping over the most important part of the quote.
Ooh, enlighten me, sir.
He said based on the money they already had allocated.
Yeah, well, retention was super expensive for them. I mean,
and Chris, it was, but the other part is 32
freshmen, which he didn't have any say in because
I think that just me reading between the lines, that was a little like not throwing people under the bus, but hey, this is what we had to work with.
Yeah, and this is going to become a fun topic later in the year, especially if it doesn't go well. People will be like, well, the front office hasn't fixed anything. Well, you don't walk into something that's been being built for 12 months with a month left to build it and suddenly fix it. And that's what John Garrett and Taylor Edwards walked into.
It's true.
The fingerprints of what those two did, for the most part, are actually pretty good.
I think so. We're still waiting to see. I think we're still waiting to see. I do like that you guys are saying things that I'm normally getting yelled at for saying. So thank you. I appreciate taking some of the burden off.
It's all about tone, brother. It's all about tone.
Tone is not very good.
Did Zach attack AB with a knife? Is that what happened?
I think so. I think he was chopping onions underneath his monitor, and he just said we might have another onion-related accident.
Zach sent me a photo of it. I don't know whether to share it or not, but it's throw up emergency.
Oh no, not for him. His family.
Right.
Sick kid season. Poor guy.
All right, real quick. Since AB didn't want to partake in this part of the conversation, anyways, Pokemon's become a big thing on my timeline because of the red and the green updates from 20 years ago or 30 years ago, however old it is.
Oh yeah.
I read green leaf green.
Just keep going where you're going, brother.
I'm an OG. When it was blue and it was red. There wasn't any kind of adjectives or anything like that to throw with it. I got yellow at one point with Pikachu. You could start with him as well.
Primary colors only, dude.
I'm an original 150 or more to see kind of guy. Okay. But it's out there. It's in the ether right now. I want us to pick a Pokemon to define the 2023 team, 2024, 2025, and then we will do our prediction for what we think this 2026 roster will look like. So I thought of one I'll start out there with. I'll throw out 2024 Onyx. Thought it was going to look pretty good. It was going to be kind of powerful. It was going to have identities as big, massive, run, pound. And then it gets beat in the very first gym as a level 12 Pokemon. And if you have a water or grass type, pretty easy to beat. So that's my first one there.
Okay. Let's see. So 2024. Yeah, I guess that's good. I thought they could have been good. So they could have been like, what's the Kakuna? Like they could have been a cocoon and they could have turned into a bee drill.
Okay.
But then they just stayed in the cocoon and died and did nothing because they were terrible.
All
so
right.
they were the cocoon that just nothing was cooking in the interior. They were the worst Kakuna you've ever seen.
Kakuna was at least hard to knock out, though, man. It had the harden move, and this.
Okay, what's a crappier Kakuna then? So just whatever. It never came to fruition, Brendan. It never came to fruition.
Magikarp would probably be the most inept.
Yeah, Magikarp was more 2024 after.
Yeah, that's solid, dude. Magikarp sucked. I think 2023. I'm a big fan of Machamp. Because that 2023 team just full of Chads, dude. And Machamp is the ultimate Chad Pokemon frame mog specialist. I'm going to go 2023 as Machamp. Now, who else do we have to do?
25? What was last?
Is there a Pokemon that as soon as you leave the hometown just is unfunctional?
Dude, like Pidgey, bro. They were Pidgey. Like they got a couple of early easy wins. in like the first town, and then they Pidgey'd out and they stunk.
Yeah, early evolution and then just
Yeah,
nothing.
a Weedle. It was a freaking Weedle. You could maybe poison sting Geodude like once, and you go to Watertown, you get washed. Bunch of Weedles.
All right.
Rattata. They're the 2025 Rattatas.
What's 2026 gonna be?
What's a highly mid Pokemon?
My Pokemon experience is not to the same level.
You
as
have
anybody this-
two kids. They're not running around talking about Pokemon all the time.
Carter doesn't really care. Carson's
Oh.
into it, but he just knows.
He's got like
okay.
Mr. Mime.
Zubat. So,
Zubat.
dude, Mr. Mime's good. He's a little freak. Zubat. If 2026 is Zubat, because they'll be like serviceable. But even when Zubat evolves, he kind of sucks ass anyway into Golbat, which nobody ever made it to the game with Golbat.
Did anybody ever? Yeah, just like
so yeah,
have a
they're
Golbat?
kind of mid. So Zubat's mid, and then even if he evolves, like even if they're kind of good, I feel like the ceiling is kind of capped. So they only have Golbat ceiling. Whether
we're definitely talking 2 evolutions, not 3.
No, definitely not a triple evolution, not at all. Or maybe like Meowth. They're like
my wife's
Meowth was kind of
Ponyta
cool.
fan, so maybe could upside.
Meowth
would be
at least
Rapidash.
made- Wait, what?
My wife's a big Ponyta fan, and so maybe like the upside could be somewhere between a Ponyta and a Rapidash.
Yeah, but Rapidash was kind of cool.
Well, I mean, they could listen. They win 8 games. You're gonna think it's pretty cool, buddy.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You're gonna be
anyway,
pretty
they're
pumped up
not
for
going to
8.
do that. There's Zubats. It's a bunch of
Look-
Zubats. Or maybe or maybe like the dodo bird that's like 2 heads and it
The
just it's like-
Drio.
yeah, and then it becomes 3. Still lame. Very lame. Very lame. Not
What about
good.
Diglets? Yeah, Diglets.
Last buyer Sonnone.
All right.
Brought to you by the Turner Group.
By the Turner Group, Pokemon. Let's go.
You had on your bingo card for 2026 President Trump at a time of war talking about alleged war. It just depends on. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyways, we'll keep it moving. Talking about FSU's debt incorrectly, by the way. We all expected that to be talked about, right? That's a buy all around.
I know that was a Sonnone. I know that you called it on the last podcast. I figured, like you said, the world is kind of heating up right now, but it's just enough time to another embarrassing headline for Florida State. Why not?
Chris,
Plenty
since
of
I was
time.
right on that, can we get the you versus Trump beef, please?
No, we
On
can't.
Twitter?
Bro,
Tag
you
'em.
don't want beef
Just
right
be
now,
honest.
man.
Just
People
be
are
very
getting.
I actually don't mind Mike. I just didn't like to call him. I initially saw that and hadn't seen that Sonnone had posted it or that was on the board or whatever came of it.
Uh-huh.
But it was AI because I'm like, that's pretty funny that somebody actually went out of their way to do that. Then when it wasn't AI, I'm like, oh, what the hell?
Of
Like,
course.
I'm just-
At least it
I'm-
happened on a Friday, guys.
I'm so tired, and I'm not like tired like I want to go to bed tonight. I'm just tired.
Burnt out, my lord. Like it's not fun, dude. Being a fan is not fun.
All right.
Can't even watch good old CNN without seeing Florida State get like dumped on. Terrible, bro. Terrible.
All right, guys. What are you bringing to the potluck here? We got probably about 20 minutes or so left in us. So let's about 10 minutes each per topic if we want to really get into it. And if it ends a little earlier, like Chris said, we're tired. It's fine.
I've got how
all right.
many freshmen will it take for FSU to be a winning team, a team above 500? How many freshmen have to make a significant impact?
6 is the number that came to my head right away, and I didn't really think it through. One wide receiver to be part of the rotation. You probably need 2 defensive linemen to have A polls, and then at least 1 DB, whether that's Chuck Kennan.
I think multiple DBs, dude. You're going to need like a Trey Bell and a Kennan, right? Because that safety rotation is, I don't know.
And one of the linebackers, they do
Yeah,
like
linebacker.
Lavalley, the
That's
younger.
5 to 6 if we're including 2 DBs. Trey Bell, luckily, is a guy who I think is mature enough to do it out of the gate. I do agree with the receiver thing. I think Boggs is essentially their 3rd, but it's up for grabs after that, whether it's a Tayshawn Gelsey who's been here or they have to go younger. D-line, just because that group tends to have some issues with getting banged up, they're going to have to get into their depth, and that depth is really young guys. Like, they don't have a middle floor in that room. It's so weird to me. It's either mostly returning guys, adding in a guy like Ryland Kennedy, who's a big piece for them as a jack type that they really want to be good. And then it's mostly relatively fresh faces on campus as true freshmen. It's just wild. Like I don't know. It's not the way I would build a team. I I'd love to have the Jacob Rizzies of the world for that middle floor for O-line and D-line where, like, they're not great, but they're also not going to be so bad that they cost you games.
You got Deontay McCray and Tate Diggs.
Yeah, but he's more of that top floor. Like, I think right now, if you were doing a starting depth chart, Deontay McCray's beside Daniel Lyons in a 4-man front.
At least you can count on him, and he can stop the run.
But do you have any pass
I
rush?
like Deontay McCray.
No, the pass rush is by far the most.
You need
Lord.
6 to 10 D linemen at least to get through a season, and that's with great injury luck. And like they have,
They've already gotten. I mean, the injury
it.
luck is Cam Brooks is the guy they were talking about as a this year like impact. That's out for the season. Jordan Sanders had a weight room injury allegedly, and he's posted on Instagram like cuts on his neck. I don't know what's happening there.
No.
And he'll be fine. We're told he'll be good to go for the summertime, but like that was your answer. Like that's who Tony White talked about the other day when he was talking about the beef inside. I wrote a spring defensive line preview story, and someone was giving me crap for not mentioning Kevin Wynn. They haven't mentioned Kevin Wynn. I don't think I've heard anyone mention Kevin Wynn once.
I did actually tonight about Kevin Wynn. That was off the record. Sorry. It was when we were just sitting eating lunch. It wasn't when we were actually recording.
Oh, that's fine. You talk about
He just said he's done a good job shedding weight. And he's in.
Oh, good. All right. Well, that's the
first one. Like 20 pounds or so is what I think T said.
Okay.
I want to talk about those guys, those young returning dudes that they're really leveraged in financially. I don't think it's a sure thing, man.
The Desir brothers?
It will just the Desirs, Kevin Wynn. I don't think it's a sure thing that the Chroma. I don't think it's a sure thing, and we really saw it last year with 2025 when you take a guy like a James Williams who had some really promising like per snap stats, and you just inflate the sample size. It doesn't mean that production is just going to expand with the snaps, and I kind of feel like that's what you're doing with some of the dudes on your own roster. And man, it's and I want to talk about some of the things that you're positive about too, Brendan, because you said you've had some optimism on the offensive side, but on that defensive side, I don't like the way that those gambles. I don't like the way that they're going to play out based off last year. Am I wrong here? Like I don't know, man.
Are you talking D-line for the most part?
Yeah, 100%. Because they're leveraging guys that are promising that showed flashes, but now they're gonna have their snap counts are gonna have to like triple or quadruple, right? Like that really worries me.
Well, returning D-line for them is the Twins, obviously, Kevin Wynn, Daniel Lyons, Deontay McCray, Diamante Diggs, who missed a good bit of last year with injury. Tylon Lee is also a returning D-lineman, but I don't think he's a guy that's legitimately in the mix for anything right now for them. So yeah, I mean, just alone, you only have 6 as a returning number. So like that in itself is kind of concerning. With the Twins, you're obviously hoping for them to take the next step, and they did some really good stuff, and they did play a hell of a lot for true freshmen. But yeah, it's always interesting. One, just how does a guy progress? But 2, how does a guy handle a heavier workload? Like some guys are better when they're only playing 20 snaps because they know all-out effort for 20 snaps. That's all I'm going to have to do this day. Suddenly, when that becomes a 40 or a 45 or a 50 snaps, that can make a massive difference. And yeah, I'm concerned overall about the D-line room. I don't think that's some new development for any of us. Just because like I do worry about the idea of guys playing excessive amount of snaps, and if they're really prepared to do that right now, and then do you have enough capable people to not allow that to be the case?
Real quick, Trey, the gamble that I don't like about the defensive line is it's super heavy on veterans, which, okay, but veterans who are making big jumps in playing time or level of competition.
Like Rylan Kennedy or something
Right,
like that.
Rylan Kennedy has been a situational pass rusher his entire career. Jordan Sanders jumped from FCS to a co-starter, but he only started 3 games at Texas State last year. He played a lot, like 300 snaps, but he's now going to be asked to do 300 snaps at his redshirt senior season. But even internally, like you're going back with Tay Diggs, and like he before he got hurt, he got the sack against Alabama, but it was kind of the Desirs were
great.
So anyway, I mean, like half of the returning production you have are I think pretty low ceiling types, but the issue is the floor is fairly low for those guys. as well, and I think that's dangerous. I don't mind the bet on the Desirs. They had good moments as true freshmen. I don't think they were good overall, but they got better as the year went on in some capacity. And you kind of need that as a program. Like that's how it should work. That should be the natural progression. It's the other lack of that Chris mentioned earlier, the lack of middle pieces there to bridge it. I just, barring anything of like a Pickney or who's the kid from South Carolina, Chris, the basketball player?
Franklin Whitley.
Franklin Whitley. I was going to say Whitley could do, but I knew that was
Chris
not.
Rankins is another one I would throw in that mix. And then Jalen Anderson, the JUCO.
Oh, I forgot about Jim. They mentioned him.
Fits into the jack role, but he's probably behind a guy like Ryland out of the gate.
But that's another example of he's going to be entering year 3 of college. He's only been at junior college. He wasn't dominant in JUCO. He was the film's solid, but like it's not like that's like Jared Verse was dominant at the FCS level, and so like you can make that projection of like, okay, him being dominant at the FCS level, he could be good at the.
And JUCO ain't as good as it used to be.
No, it's not. It's gotten highly diminished since COVID. So yeah, like it just, I've concerns about the floor and the ceiling defensive line.
So my last topic, and then I'll throw it out to all you guys because I think this is interesting, right? And it really is a sign of where we're at. But how many players on this roster do you think actually keep either opposing offensive or defensive coordinators up at night to where it's like, I got a game plan around these people?
Deuce Robinson, Mekhi Dansby, for different reasons.
Yep. So you got 2 at Florida State University, by the way.
Is there
and
anybody on the defensive side of the ball?
I think Wisner probably derives a little bit of I don't think he might keep them up, but I think he demands a little attention from them.
You got to respect him
against some really good teams in his collegiate career.
Okay, so like 2 and 3. I'd say 3 because I'm with you. Their teams are going to have to stop them. But you got 3, none on the entire defensive side of the ball so far.
Drill's a dude. I mean, he's good. He can take on a 1 and compete at a high level. I don't think he's a complete game changer, but I think he's a very sound corner.
Yeah, I don't think any coordinators are shaking in their boots though. Like,
yeah, I think that safety group's going to be pretty decent. I will say
I agree, pretty decent. But that's not the prompt that Trey gave us. Pretty decent
group. The way they're talking about it right now, it's supposed to be Barker, and we know what Ashland is. He's a good player, and actually,
I guess
FSU was a much better team when Ashland Barker was healthy and available last year than when he wasn't. So, like, I do think that speaks to Ashland being a good team.
Collective of that safety group, I think teams will have to plan for.
Good. And you're saying that Barker, Richard, and Jones is
Yeah, so I think like the trio of them will be good, and I think teams will have to game plan for them. The problem is it's like that's the back end where it all ends, and it's like the front end is, I don't think there's anybody teams are scared of right now.
We'll see what they can manufacture.
I don't think there's a lot of coaches that finish playing FSU and go, man, I wish we had that MFer on our team with a whole lot of guys. That used to be the case. Like it used to be like we don't got dudes like that. I don't feel like there's as much of that these days. To answer
I apologize. I had to step away. I had some family stuff I had to deal with real quick.
Tell us about the throw up, please.
No, I don't really want to. It
we
was
thought
like
Zach was throwing knives at you. Or at
least throw up was the quickest thing I could type in, and there was a whole lot more going on. So
throw up being the undersell is
all I heard in the background was, did AB get killed by Zach or something like that? And I was like, I better tell him what's going on quickly. I did have a question though. Does it feel to you guys like they have leaned into this whole Syracuse defensive mantra of what Tony White was when he was there? Like it feels like they've got smaller and quicker on the defensive front and the defensive line.
Are they quicker on the defensive? That's like I don't know that they're quicker.
It jumped out to me that Kevin Wynn lost weight.
I think they've leaned into having a true jack. I think that's a big difference from last year, that they do have the intention of having a more true jack element to that front. I don't know about the whole smaller and quicker overall thing, but I do. The jack is one thing that I feel like it was noticeable in the recruiting and then in the transfer process, especially with Ryan Kennedy. And then in talking I asked Tony White about that, had other conversations with some people on the defense about the other day. I do think that's something they had the intention of having that element in their defense of a guy who can both crash down but also play backwards and be effective. I think they felt a bit handcuffed last year in regards to that element in their defensive game.
Adam, to answer your question, I think it would behoove Tony White to start coaching this Florida State defense less like an actual Florida State defense and more like he's coaching a Syracuse or a team with less talent than the jersey that they're wearing. Like, I think that's something that gets these guys into trouble. Is it's like, oh, I've got all these concepts that like it worked for me at Syracuse, it worked for me in Nebraska. I can't wait. I'm licking my chops to get to Florida State with the actual like talented roster and running the stuff that I want to run. You don't got that talented roster, dude. I think you got to pretend like you're at Syracuse. So I actually think he might get better. He might get better performance if he Jedi mind tricks himself into thinking he is playing at a mid-level ACC school, because that's kind of commiserate with the roster they have.
Chris Jones is an example at linebacker, though, of a guy where I do think they had the intention of getting better at the position. I also think the freshman line group isn't bad. Now, that's asking a lot for those guys to jump into the fire and do it for you. But Chris Jones, to me, personal opinion, I think Ernie Sims took over that room and was like, none of these dudes look like I did, and that's why he went and got Chris Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way kind of about. I mean, I thought they were. It seemed like they had an intent with the safety group, and it felt like they kind of executed that. I don't know if that's the case or not necessarily, but it felt like to me anyway.
Well, Richard, yes, that was out of the gate, and then I think Mackay came about because of John Garrett's hiring.
Yeah,
I think that element, because there's a good relationship between those two individuals there.
Yeah.
I think that played a role in being an addition.
I did like what they did with that group, and I liked what they did at linebacker. Just D-line just felt like it just left you wanting so much more.
Those are hard positions to recruit.
If you look at Tony White's defenses at Syracuse, they had pretty elite secondary. Like a lot of that secondary was picked apart after his first or second year. You saw Syracuse corners all over the place. And good corners, good safeties, decent linebacker play, and their defensive line was shallow and not very good. And so about halfway through the season, you saw them just kind of fall apart, and those defenses got significantly worse on the back tail end of the seasons that he was in. To be fair, that's happened to Syracuse pretty much every year since he's left. But like, yeah, I don't think this should be terribly surprising based off how he built rosters anywhere else.
Buyer Sonnone, if you ask John Garrett the exact same question about the defensive line group that you did about quarterback, you get the same answer.
I don't think you get the same answer. I think the answer you get is that I walked in here and there were 6 or 7 guys already committed for that room, all freshmen. So like there was a number throw at that room already that had happened. And that's before, I can't remember exactly when John got hired versus like an Amari Williams jumping in. I think John was hired at that point. There were a couple of guys already pre-existing in the room that they thought they would keep. I mean, really, who did they add after getting John on that room? Rylan Kennedy, Jordan Sanders, Cam Brooks, Jamie Pickney. I think Pickney was at the buzzer, if I remember correctly.
He was before.
He was before, because Garrett came in after early signing day.
Yeah, it was only transfer. It only would have been transfers in, Chris.
Yeah, it was literally like a week before the portal opened that he got hired.
Right. Yeah, sorry, I'm still thinking of February signing. Yeah, so it's basically
a lot going on.
So yeah, I think that's an area where the financial commitment to the room, then the negotiation with the Twins, combined with the general numbers of the room, didn't allow him to put a great deal of fingerprints on there. Do I wish they still took one additional player in that room? Definitely. It kind of blew me away down the stretch, the lack of expectation of another portal defensive lineman coming in for a visit.
It was just the one, was it the Alabama kid who ended up going to Georgia Tech?
Yeah, he was one that they really liked. Him and Kennedy are somewhat alike. They can play some of the same things, but I think you could also play them opposite of each other and have two guys with some juice on the edges.
I thought that was a toughie because I thought he had his pretty good upside and would have offered some positional flexibility for you that Chris is mentioning. I would have allowed you to play some more games and would have been a fast guy off the edge. Would have been nice.
Not enough value. Not enough value for us.
Kev, what do you got for us? What are you bringing to the potluck?
Oh man, I had a series of questions, but I feel like we've kind of
lightning round. Kev, you can do it.
Buyer Sonnone
faster.
Ashton Daniels averages more than 7 carries a game.
Oh God.
Sonnone.
Wait,
Bye.
designed carries, or
I don't know, but averages more than 7 carries per game. I
So
would buy.
non-scramble, so it could be read option but it is
Sonnone.
not a scramble.
Sonnone, but he should. Sonnone, but Mike won't do it because I just don't think he wants to call an offense that way, dude. You gotta just use them. Battering ram,
For
use them.
Jordan in 2021 when they had to, right? Let me look up.
It's not
Design.
his soul, bro.
Yeah, I
It's
bet
not
it was
his
close. I
soul.
bet it was close to 7, but I don't know if it was over.
And they had nothing else but Jordan. Sonnone, but he should. If you're listening, Michael, run him,
Jordan
brother.
Travis, who did not start as a full-time starter until midway through the season and missed multiple games, had 134 rushing attempts. His last 3 games of the season, 22 runs against Miami, 13 against Boston College, 17 against Florida. I mean, that's
Why didn't they do it last year?
he wasn't calling the offense last year, Kev. And Tommy got hurt.
They didn't do it with DJ. They didn't run it. They didn't use the size
so
plus
slow.
with DJ. They didn't use it with him either.
They did not.
think
DJ
that's
also
promising.
got dinged up and was overweight and couldn't. I mean, just,
Okay, so it sounds like excuses. He ain't going.
I'm making excuses. This is also what happened.
It's
Respectfully,
promising.
Rental, run them as much as humanly possible.
Tommy ran it 137 times last year.
Designed, brother. We're talking designed.
He never
It's
got
because he didn't
sacked.
want to run it, throw it.
It's promising that Mike has shown that he will do it in a time where there's not a lot of expectations and he kind of feels like he needs to.
Did you see Ashton's weight? 233.
Yeah.
Is that up?
Nice.
Yeah, I think he's up 5 or 6 pounds.
I'm buying it. I mean, listen, I don't know. I don't know what the future's.
You
gonna
buy
hold.
you buying a top 40 offense this year?
Yeah.
Kev, you buying it?
I don't know.
Oh,
40s and
boo.
Yeah,
Typically, I think they end up in that realm.
40's a good number.
Adam, what metric?
Oh,
If it's a
shoot.
points-based metric, Sonnone. If it's a yards-based metric, buy.
EPA
What about the
That man watched the
yeah,
stamp.
the opponent adjuster?
E stuff. SP plus.
Gus ain't here to run up the score against slapdick.
Oh, so it might be Sonnone for both then.
Mhm.
All right,
All right,
Mike,
what's your next, Kev?
wait, what?
Next
What's your
one, lightning round.
Well, I have multiple.
You said
Yeah,
you had a list of
Oh
them.
no.
Yeah.
I was going through a couple of them.
Okay. So no.
More than 2 sacks a game. Fire
Fire Stone, brought to
By
you
the team? Dude, that's ridiculously low, isn't it? Isn't that awful?
I don't know.
Don't buy that.
What is it?
Hell,
3?
There's no
3.
way.
2 sacks a game. Yeah,
Three
I mean,
is
I'll
fine.
buy it because you should get those in some of your BS games, like enough to inflate the number.
They
So
got
wait,
what did we
sacks
average last
year. It's
year?
kind of a weird.
Beast.
So 24 sacks in a season. This team.
2
They
per
got
game.
sacks last year, didn't they?
I don't know how many nickel blitzes could you run. How
I'm
many
buying.
total sacks did they have this year? Because I feel like I want
Yeah,
to say
that's.
They were-
I guess
They
that's
were
the better question.
27th Guys, they were 27th nationally in sacks last year with 2.58. Like they got to the quarterback through a variety. Like Ashton Barker had 3 sacks that they found. Yeah, they figured it out. They made do with what they had.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they
You guys
do.
are so jaded. How have I become the positive one in this?
Fire
podcast?
Sonnone. You will have. All right. Is there going to be any defensive lineman on this team with 4 sacks or more?
Buy.
Five.
There will
I
be
think
at least 3.
With
5.
4 or more sacks? What about 5? Anybody with
If they're going to
5
be anywhere near,
They had one last year. and
Desir
he
had
sacked this
6.5
year.
last year.
Yeah,
sacks? Okay.
yeah. You guys are being.
Oh,
so
no,
negative
you
that you're
guys.
so
I'm
wrong.
buying this stuff. I'm buying.
AB and I are the most positive ones here. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's
That is
crazy.
pretty
How's my
crazy.
tongue?
Do you think that the defensive line is better this year than it was last year without Daryl Jackson?
Without Daryl, I mean, no. 'Cause-
No, so it's not. So I like once again, I don't think
But
that
Daryl
the
didn't
standard
impact
of
the
last
pass
year.
rush at all.
He
Also,
he
the
absorbed
For the run game. He
No,
did.
dude, he got attention to free other people up.
Chris King.
I do think they're better at linebacker, which I think will help the D line to
Now
a
you
slight
have me.
Gosh, can they be
shitting on
worse at
Daryl
linebacker?
Jackson. That's
You-
crazy. What's happening here?
sorry.
What was the defense rank last year? What was it ranked last year?
In what category? I'll look it up.
I don't
An
know.
F
Just
plus.
pick
Let's
one.
do it.
You
Hang
nerds and your stats. Just pick one.
Well, I mean, I have to look at
45th. About 45th opponent adjustment.
53rd opponent adjusted, which is not very good.
Fire Sonnone, it'll be better.
Sonnone, they're worse, and the schedule's tougher.
So I'll Sonnone. I'm not bullish on the defense.
Yeah, and probably Sonnone in that too. I just think at some point the injury bug's going to eat you to death, that defensive line. If it happens early, oh God.
Okay, so I'm going to throw out there, don't ever try to like negative like hall monitor people for when everybody thinks that we're going to have worse than the 50th ranked defense at Florida State University. Even if people are irrationally negative, that's why. Nobody's expecting the top 50 on defense at Florida
Negative
State.
hall monitor.
Perspective. No negative hall monitor. If people want to be angry and negative,
love
I
that.
think they're
That's
allowed
great.
to. It is bleak, guys.
It's still trench warfare and good quarterbacks. Like, that's the end of
Not
the day.
hard.
That's still what matters. And I don't think they're great on the defensive line.
Wait, are we arguing that they're going to take a step back? Who else are they losing outside of Daryl Jackson?
Earl
Who
Little.
else they lose? Oh, I got you. I can do that for you.
Ooh.
All right, defensive line. They lost Daryl Jackson, Jaden Jones, Jason Jenkins, thank God, James Williams, KJ Sampson, Grant Fielder, Murray Williams, Jamori Flagg, L.A. Jesse Harold. I'm just glad I don't have to deal with that name from a
Oh,
take.
it's L.A. Jesse?
L.A. Jesse. Look,
Thought it was
I
Lod
thought
Jesse.
it was Jesse, and he was good with that, but technically it was written as L space A space Jesse Harold.
Holy
Continue,
shit. I
Chris.
did not know that.
They returned the twins, obviously. Kevin is another youngin that they bring back. Kevin didn't get to do much last year because he was banged up. Tylon Lee, who didn't do anything last year, and I don't feel they're particularly optimistic about going into the spring. Daniel Lyons, Deontay McCray, Diamante Dix. Those are your returners there. The issue is that you lost a guy who demanded a great deal of attention in Sonnone's boy. And now, like, you don't have that. That doesn't exist for you this year. You do
You're
not have
only NFL combine guy on the entire team.
You don't have
Chris
guys.
had it right that he was good the other day with the NFL Combine. I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Don't got the lotion and just. But they don't have a guy that steps in those shoes, and to me, it hasn't morphed in a manner where they've created a new strength.
If I was a Pokemon, I would have been a Squirtle.
Gross. Anyway, continue, Chris.
Oh my God, they're betting on Ryland. Ryland Kennedy is such a like linchpin guy, such an important piece that if they're going to be this good, he's going to be a big part of why they're going to be this good. Like, to me, that is the thing. And the problem with Kennedy is this group has eroded the belief that you can trust them, that they're getting people that can do that because they haven't done it well in recent years. Some of those people aren't here anymore, and some of the people are new. Obviously, Nick, who has a great deal of hands-on with taking Ryland Kennedy, the new edges coach, has not been here. So, like, it's not fair to put that on him. But there's an element of, like, Kennedy has not done it in his collegiate career. Now you need him to do it. I think it's better to take it to see it, to believe it type of thing. But I do believe they think Ryland Kennedy can be a guy for them. He does have great athletic traits. He's a former basketball kid, high jumper, also likes playing football. Like, he has a good energy to what he wants to do. Now he's got to go do it.
Because I think you can argue that they've upgraded at basically every position except for probably Earl Little's position and Daryl Jackson's position. But like I'm not super high that Ryland Kennedy is going to be some like top 10 pass rusher in the country, but he's better than James Williams. You have everybody you're bringing back from the defensive line is essentially who you had last year, just 1 year older. The linebacker room should be better. I think we have trust that the secondary should probably be a little bit better. So how much is losing Daryl Jackson? Like, is losing Daryl Jackson that irreplaceable compared to what you had, that the whole defense is going to take a step back because of that?
I don't think because you've never seen these guys with that amount of workload. And I think trying to project that is a fool's errand, which we tried to do with James Williams last year. I don't know. I think other than linebacker, I don't have confidence in the defense, man. Because even though they may be positionally, they may be a little bit better, they don't generate a pass rush. They don't put any stress. And even if Chris Jones is a better linebacker than Juice Cryer, it doesn't matter if he's in coverage for 5 seconds. because the one thing that they suck at makes everybody worse.
I wish I could see him in a spring game to really know.
Ooh, time is a flat. That's a good callback, dude.
Do we have
I think the Bayer Sonnone, if you guys want to do it this one, Bayer Sonnone,
Brought to you by the Turner Group.
brought to you
Ooh.
by the Turner Group. Florida State has a better record in 2026 than they did in 2025.
Bye.
Bye.
By
Guys, it's March 8th.
Should we get the schedule up and go through it? W's
No.
and
gotta save some content for later.
I don't know. I feel like if it doesn't go well early, it's going to bottom out real fast.
Well, that would be totally different than in past years.
O's.
Oh wait, stringing losses at a
I
cluster?
mean, yeah, the bottom out thing is just.
It
I
went
think that's,
well at the start last year, Sonnone. I don't know if you remember, but like everything was in front of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then what happened?
Stanford.
It bottomed out.
They
Do they have an
the
ACC
game.
road game to start the season?
Well, hold on. There was 3
They
losses in a row
started
before
losing
Stanford,
consecutive
buddy.
days. They're week 0. They don't lose week 0. Wait, yeah, they do, but not in America.
Oh,
Undefeated in America at week 0 games. That's true.
Domestic week 0 champions. That's great.
no, I do think they're gonna have. I think they're a game better this year.
Yeah, maybe,
Is it
but
or
once again, I don't think that team was a 5-win team last year. I think they were a little bit undercoached, but that's neither here nor there. Anybody else got any more potluck topics?
Bayer Sonnone, the Florida State offense hinges on Deuce Robinson's ability to
Bye.
keep a 50% catch rate way up through the moon like he had last year.
It's all about. I mean, Deuce Robinson is the offense, so
Yeah.
but it's
Bye.
been designed to go through him.
I think he's still last year he was the most valuable player on offense, which is crazy. Like because he's not a quarterback. I think he's still your most valuable player on offense on the entire team this year, Deuce Robinson. That's a
I am the biggest thing with Deuce I'm interested in is Tommy became a capable big throw rate guy last year for them.
he did.
I don't know that Ashton has the same capability as a big throw guy. Like I think he has it in him, but I don't think he has it into him to the same percentage. So I'm interested how Deuce evolves as a do everything wide receiver, which I'm sure he has in his repertoire, but it was not what was asked of him a year ago.
Mhm.
But yeah, Deuce is immensely important to any of this working offensively.
Yeah, I guess I'm not as sold that Ashton Daniels is better than Tommy as other
I'm
people
not
seem to be.
either, Kev.
Yeah, so
Check-
I'm not sold, and I'm not sold that Mike Norvell's a better offensive mind than Gus Malzahn. I'm not sold that your offense can be better. I'll Sonnone. I'll Sonnone the record.
Okay.
Okay.
It's got to be better, right? So 5 wins.
Yeah, 5 is still a Sonnone. I think I'm with you, man. I
don't think they're bowling in 2026. I'm sorry.
No, they're
Negative
right now.
suckers. You hear
I don't
this? You
think
hear this,
so, man.
Sonnone? You hear this?
You guys want to? I'm the most optimistic person there's ever been about this team and this program.
Oh
I
yeah,
want that
Florida
on the
State
record.
University is gonna make a bowl game for the
Maybe.
first time in 3 years. My God, hang
Is
the
this
banner.
Don't
Isn't Trey
you-
gaslighting me?
I'm not
Am I being
gaslighting anybody. I'm injecting
The earlier-
perspective.
The earlier they fire Mike Norvell,
Sounds
the
like
better
a Marshall podcast.
the better chance they have of making a bowl game.
Ugh,
Wow,
I'm
the
not
bump.
even. I'm
Kev
not
is
even
all
unwrapping that one.
Sorry, I just had
I
to
don't
say
know
it.
if I'm negative. I may be Switzerland in all of this. Kev's negative.
Give me
lost.
that fired coach like bump. Teams like perform better. Penn State went out and won a couple games.
They almost
You know what
beat
I'm talking about?
Indiana. They gave Indiana their
Yeah.
toughest game. Yeah.
They won a bowl game.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take the fired coach bump.
Yep.
Real quick, an exercise because we think the roster is pretty much complete. And before we get any of the data points in the spring, which is going to be just all the things that we hear and not actually observed.
Not
All right, real quick, we'll get out of here. Quarterback, worse or better than last year? Better or
Worse.
worse? All right. Running back,
Worse.
better or worse than last year?
better.
Better.
Wide receiver, better or worse than last year?
Push.
Yeah, I feel
Better.
like it's a push too.
You get Deuce a year older and Micaiah a year. Okay, fine, push.
Just because guys
Lose-
get older doesn't mean they get better. Though I
Lose
do.
Wayne.
I think good players get better as they get older, and I think Deuce
I
is a
tend
good
to
player.
agree, but
Anyways,
that's not a way
You-
around parts.
oh no, not Lewayne McCoy.
Hey, I like Wayne
Hey,
McCoy.
I
Come
think
on
he's
now.
really good down the stretch.
You know what?
last year.
AB liked Pokey. He all right. Tight end, better or worse?
Worse.
Yeah, they can't
Worse.
block.
Yeah, no Pittman.
You lost Biscuit. I mean, shoot.
Have you looked at
We'll
the
see.
returning stats of the tight end room? It's wild for the amount of people that return in that room.
Oh, the
Really?
amount of money invested in that room.
It went from the most bloated room to now you're like guys are you're begging for biscuit again.
Have they
Not me.
developed a single Division I level tight end? since they've
Wyatt
been here?
Rector.
Okay.
Don't do that. Don't do that again. People are having
Man.
PTSD.
Oh,
for
Lord.
They have to go out and buy a tight end for me.
Offensive
Was
line, better.
crazy good. Offensive line.
Better.
Push.
I think they're just slightly worse, but I don't think they're
Ooh.
bad. I think they're just not as good at the top. I do think they're deeper.
I don't think
Center's the one that worries me.
Wait, you're the tiebreak, Trey.
I'm gonna say push. Can I push, or do I have to go
Just
worse?
say push. That's fine.
What did Brendan? What was Brendan's answer?
I was gonna push. Defensive line.
Worse.
I think worse.
Worse.
Better.
The best player is not better than the best player that left.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I'll go worse.
I'm going to push
Linebacker.
just because of that.
Better.
Better.
Do you want to do the collective secondary?
No, do
I think you
corners.
should divide it into corner because I think corner's worse.
Yeah,
Corner
corner's probably
worse.
Yeah.
I think
Worse.
corners push.
I don't buy Chandler.
But, like,
Jerry was a disappointment.
People
Relative
figured
to
out that Jerry wasn't going to tackle and like went after him. Like that became a thing down the stretch last year.
I'll push.
Hadn't Chandler been like a big play? Just
Oh yeah,
gives him up left and right?
Chandler is like a flip of a coin, but the good is really sometimes good. But I do agree with you on that, AB.
He's a big play mercenary.
Worse.
I don't even remember where we're at. It's definitely
Safety.
not better. I was counting
Safety.
better. Safety, I think, will be better.
Better, yes. I think
It'll
better.
be more stable.
I think it might be like the most improved group on the team.
So I think we
Or a
finished.
little head flashes.
Yeah, he did. I think it'll be more stable. I don't think it'll have as much upside.
I think
Edwin
that's a
was really
massive step
disappointing.
forward.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
do you think of how many touchdowns given up by missed Earl Little tackles?
Some of the comments that the coaches have had about the safety room and the maturity there has been interesting. And also, Tony wouldn't mention Earl Little by name. He mentioned all the other players that he'd called out that would be good. And he said,
Did he
and
call him
the
Voldemort
safety-
instead?
The safety,
Be
Voldemort.
named.
So I think we said 4 as a collective.
Yeah.
Better. So not great. Not a lot of optimism. Hopefully we set people up for a really fun, encouraging spring. I'm sure this is going to help the page views. I'm sure people are going to be really into the spring football coverage.
I'm really
based
trying to
on-
help.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Really juice them
The
up.
thing is though that like I think talent wise, like you saw it at home, you don't accidentally beat Alabama by multiple touchdowns.
And push them around.
Like
Offensive ball.
you worked them. Like that wasn't a close game. And then like you go and lose on the road to Stanford. Like
Oh boy,
there's a
I said-
mental aspect to this team that was not talent based. So we're looking at this team. They're pretty equivalent talent based, and if they play up to their talent, then sure they can win 8, 9, 10 games if all the cards play right for them. Will somehow they play up to their talent like they haven't done since 2023?
the ability to believe has eroded away around these parts, at least for me.
Did you strip away enough of the from 2024 eventually? I think that was a critique that they didn't do enough of it last year. They did a fair amount of it, but there was more holdovers than I think we would have liked, and we talked about that at the time.
Some of that was the same messaging before last year. He's matured. He's gotten better. Then he threatens to fight his coach at Stanford. Yeah.
2023 FSU of Theseus. Is it still 2023 FSU if you replace all the parts?
What?
Yeah.
You just said something that's way too far from me.
Dude, it is 10:34 at night. What do you
All right.
It's the ship of Theseus, right? Is that it?
Oh, okay.
I still don't.
Yeah,
We're talking about the Odyssey.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Did you guys know that "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" is actually based
Yes.
on the Odyssey?
But they didn't actually read the book.
"Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" or the Odyssey?
The Coen brothers that directed "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou."
And they also directed "No Country for Old Men."
Yeah,
Great.
great directors. Raising Arizona. Why are we doing this?
310 also takes place in Arizona. All right, for Chris Nee, for Coach AB, for Trey Rowland, for Kev and Theseus Prometheus Little, and Zach Blostein's missing finger. I'm Brendan Sonnone. This has been the Potluck edition of the Roundtable of On the Bench.
Love you guys.
Bye.